Pambansang Awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, kaya sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tula, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di magtitindig, lumang ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order this Women's Business Council virtual general membership meeting. And thank you everyone for attending this afternoon. My name is Monette Hamlin. I'm the chairperson of the Women's Business Council. As an advocacy group, our goal in Women PH has always been to find solutions to the different challenges that women generally face in the workplace, as well as in the conduct of their business, and also to advocate possible government policies and solutions. And we are now facing one of the greatest challenges that many of us have ever faced. The sudden appearance of COVID-19 has changed the world as we know it. Economies, rich and poor alike, are all reeling from the effects of the global pandemic. The debilitating effects have been felt by women, made more vulnerable by pre-existing inequalities in social, political, and the economic systems. In other words, women earn less, we save less, we hold less secure jobs, we had single-parent households, we have less access to social protection. All this according to a UN policy brief that was published in April 2020. Women have less capacity to absorb economic shocks than men. And this is largely because there are more women workers in the most critically affected industries, such as retail, wholesale trade, tourism, accommodation, food services, among others. Moreover, a UN report estimates about 740 million women employed in the informal sector. That's about 2/3 of female employment in developing nations. And that as economies have locked down, jobs have disappeared, severely affecting women who actually rely on daily work to feed their families. The vulnerability of MSMEs in this pandemic is very keenly felt in the Philippines, where MSMEs make up 99.6% of business establishments, 58% of which are women-led. According to Investing in Women, these small to medium enterprises are considered significant contributors to employment and economic growth. And as a result of the lockdown, majority of these SMEs, many of which are women-owned and women-led, have been greatly affected, if not drastically affected. And you know, while women in business are doing their best to pivot and adjust to the new normal, women also have traditionally carried the burden of being the home's primary caregivers. And not just their homes, but the families that they have at work and their community. We want to make sure that everyone is protected and kept safe from the virus. And because of this, at Women Biz, we have decided to organize this very special learning session this afternoon on the vaccine issue, to shed light on the burning issue that is besetting all of us. In other words, should we or should we not get vaccinated? And can we? And because this topic actually concerns all Filipinos, we decided to open it up to our networks outside of the women's family, those who wish to be informed. And so we invite our guests this afternoon to listen with an open heart and mind as our esteemed speakers will tackle the pros and cons of vaccination. We'd also like to let you know that late last year, Women Biz Speech stood shoulder to shoulder with 24 of the country's leading business associations to pledge support to the Covenant of Shared Prosperity. This covenant invites Philippine companies to develop policy statements that will embody their commitments to their 6 stakeholders, their employees, their customers, their suppliers, the community, the environment, and the shareholders. And so we'd like to invite our members to please sign the Covenant of Shared Prosperity and to work together to help each other and the country survive these difficult times. Ika nga, walang iwanan. Also, next month, we will be celebrating Women's Month. And so we invite our participants to join the many, many different activities that will be held. And so at this point, let me call on our hardworking president, Ms. Mylene Abiva, to present an update on Women Biz PH and how we are inspiring optimism and creating opportunities for women in business. Over to you, Mylene.
Thank you so much, Monette. We are really a tandem here at the Women's Business Council Philippines. And good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for spending your time with us this afternoon to learn more about the vaccines, the pros and the cons. I'd like to just give a short report about the Women's Business Council activities in the past year, late last year, until this early part of Q1 of 2021. The Women's Business Council conducted a virtual Christmas party last November 25, and each member received Japanese bento boxes from Umu Restaurant at the Dusit Thani Hotel. And Chef Hiroyuki Furukata explained the ingredients and strict preparation of the dishes. We had games and virtual networking. In December, we had the Bayanihan Reseller Virtual Trade Expo. It is a game changer in trade and commerce expositions. This virtual trade event highlighted opportunities of making business through reselling. Women's Business Council, as co-organizer, provided capacity building sessions for women-owned businesses entitled Women Connect, virtual exhibitions and business talks to help in the reseller ecosystem. The 500 peso minimal exhibit fee raised funds to purchase solar lamps for 600 families hit by Typhoon Ulysses in Cagayan. The Women Biz member and owner of Enchanted Kingdom, Cynthia Mamon, was the entertainment and sponsor of the entertainment. So we had the opening ceremony and the ilaw para sa Cagayan. The Women Biz member and owner of Enchanted Kingdom, Cynthia Mamon, was the entertainment sponsor. And partner organizations were Association of Filipino Franchisers, or AFI, DTI, Go Negosyo, Philippine Marketing Association, or PMA, and the Philippine Commission on Women with the Women's Business Council Philippines. So we had our speakers for the Women on Spotlight, members of the Women's Business Council at the Bayanihan Reseller Virtual Trade Expo. In addition, with the DTI, UN Women, Philippine Commission on Women, and featured in the UN Women Asia and the Pacific social media assets. Women Biz will sign a MOA, or a Memorandum of Agreement, with the Women Biz as champion of the women empowerment principles in the Philippines. Last February, we had the Women Thinking Forward, which is a content which is about women taking big leaps forward in science and technology. So we featured the challenges that women in STEM face. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and discussed the vast opportunities for women in the industry. So young women in teams, how to increase the number of women in science and technology, and how women can be hireable in the IT industry. We have a Women Technology Conference coming up on March 26 to 28. Women Biz and Indian Women in Enterprise will sign a memorandum of agreement covering the convening power of IWI, as we call them, to serve best practices across industry from the Indian diaspora. providing cultural and business development opportunities for all. DTI had an FGD for the GAD agenda with Women Biz, which we represented the private sector for the DTI GAD agenda that serves as a strategic plan and framework in identifying programs and projects to be undertaken to achieve GAD goals and outcomes based on its core mandate of MSMEs development, trade policy, investment, promotion, and consumer welfare. This is another exciting project. We have the Women Rise research study on the needs of Filipino women who are experiencing today. Women Biz will take a close look at the sunrise industries, the factors for their success, their challenges and progress, such as use of financial technology and the impact on national and local business environment. There will be a call, there is an ongoing call for women entrepreneurs to be respondents, and this is in partnership with DTI Kapatid Mentor Me Online program. Deadline is February 28, 2021. So please visit the Women Biz Facebook page for the poster announcement. We had a virtual meeting with Senator Risa Ontiveros. Thank you so much for setting this up, Attorney Lorna, for Lorna Kapunan. And she's a women's, as we know, she's a women's rights advocate. We had a collaboration meeting between the Women's Business Council, Zonta, Rotary, Towns Foundation, and the MAP Sustainable Committee. We listened to the various activities of each organization in which Senator Risa Ontiveros can push more laws that will empower women and address colleagues. Women Biz invited her as keynote speaker for the National Women's Month on March 11, entitled Women in Leadership, Receiving Equal Future in COVID-19 World. This webinar is the theme of the UN Women International Day. To be or not to be, as we're now here in this webinar, is a learning session where medical experts shed light on the pros and cons of vaccinations. We will hear a case study on how a pharmaceutical company complied with health protocols and battling the global war against COVID as presented by the World Health Organization. And we also finally have a Women's Biz partnership with DTI, KMME Online for the women's sector this coming March 11 from 8 o'clock to 10:30. And this is in partnership with the Philippine Commission on Women and UN Women Philippines. And finally, I'd like to announce that we are establishing a Council of Women Biz Chairwomen. So for all the past women, chairwomen of the Women Business Council of the Philippines, we will now be in this circle of advisors. Thank you so much, and more power to you and more power to the Women's Business Council Philippines. Back to you, Monette.
Okay, at this point,